Welcome to Positivity in Action, the podcast where we explore the power of positive psychology in everyday life and during life's toughest moments. I'm your host, Tracy. I run Truly Listening. And as each week, we are going to dive into inspiring stories of how people have used positive psychology to overcome hardship, build resilience, and create meaningful lives. From self-compassion, personal growth, and to strength found in community, we're here to shine a light on positive practices that help us rise above the noise of negativity that's in this world. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get started. Hi, and welcome back. We are here today with Kathy. She does some amazing community things, and I just cannot wait for you to hear about them. So, Kathy, introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Kathy Sanderson and I now live in Wales with my husband and my 3 children. We are in Mynydd Cerrig, a lovely little village in southwest Wales, and we live on top of a mountain. And we, together with my husband and I, we have created community camping and healing gatherings and retreats, which give people an opportunity to come together and find their tribe, to find connection, to find community, and also find healing.
Oh, I love what you do. When I spoke to you the other week, I'm like, how can I book in? It was just an instant wanting to book in. After we've done with this talk, everyone needs to check out the details that will be in the description below. And Kathy does some amazing things. But you also had an amazing story. You told me how that community come about and how it was when we were all in COVID and we were isolated. And community is such an important part that is kind of missing in today's world in a lot of places. So that's what you're here today for. You're here to tell the story. I want everyone to hear what I heard and just be able to kind of fall in love with it as much as I did. So
Well,
share away, Kathy.
It's a good thing I'm talking to you because, you know, to tell somebody else that I suddenly heard this voice telling me that I needed to do this would sound a bit like, you know, send the men in the white coats. But we had been selling our house during the COVID madness and the stamp duty rush, which was in England, not in Wales. So the people we were buying from had no rush. So we ended up living in a caravan park. We went on holiday for a week and a bit in a caravan park. And it was during July 2021 when everyone was just coming out of lockdown, but people were still nervous of people and you know, jumping 2 meters away and all those unvaccinated people who were trying to kill the planet and all of that type of thing. Very, very uncaring. So while we were there, I experienced this because I must be honest, we were homesteading. The people around me were my tribe. So I didn't really experience that. So to go to the other side of the country and to see it in action was probably what I needed because I wasn't aware it was going on. Then when the sale finally went through and I got the call from the solicitor, I immediately had this download because it wasn't there before of, well, why don't we put something on where everyone can come together and hug? And that was literally what I was told. People could come together, camp and hug. So my husband had taken the kids out to the sweet shop. So they came back and I'm like, what about this? It's like, oh, yeah, we could. And then I got in touch with some of my friends from Birmingham who had already run workshops. So they did yoga, they did goddess connection, women's womb healing, things like that. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. Because they're all the same kind of mind, same thinking. So yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to get these people? So I literally just started putting about it on Facebook, and there's a group called the Awakened Community, which was very big at the time. And lo and behold, my husband had 7 weeks to change 2 sheep fields, literally sheep fields, because she had a pet farm. She was vegetarian, but she kept sheep to make fleece rugs into a place where people could camp. So he made some compost toilets and flattened the land and made it suitable. And 46 people I had never met off Facebook descended on us. It was crazy. I remember standing there at the camp field, as it is
Mm.
now, and actually seeing everyone coming down the track. Now the track wasn't nothing like it is now. We've smoothed it out, so it's proper bumpy down a hill, and people coming in camper vans, people coming in cars. The magic of those people, and when they finally arrived, because they didn't know where they were coming, and having that first hug and getting to know those people, it was, and it still is, magical.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember that at this time there was no festivals going on. All of the concerts, if they were going ahead, where you must be jabbed, you must show your code, all of that type of stuff. So people were living in fear on that side, but people were living in fear on this side too, because they had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
They weren't accepted for their opinions and their beliefs. And suddenly to come together and to find people who were on your wavelength from all across the country, and people found people who were very local to them as well.
Yeah.
And we had the most magical weekend. We had lots of healing together and lots of drumming and stuff around the campfire. But the most amazing thing was just being able to talk to people, because it was something
Yeah.
that hadn't been allowed for at least a year.
Yeah, there was so much fear about that time, wasn't there? And it was so much fear, and so many people turned against each other because of their beliefs. It was really closing down groups and making us feel quite singular. And I know I experienced that a lot with other communities that I know locally, and people were falling out with people who they'd known for 20 years because suddenly they were completely polar opposite. So building that community is just, oh, I wish I'd been there, honestly. If I'd have seen it, I'd have been there.
It's magical, and I'm still friends with a lot of people who came, and I see them on Facebook, and they still come back, and they all talk about that time, and they're proud that they were one of the first to
Mm.
actually come. But like you say, so many people lost families. It split families literally down the middle. People who had set up sort of like growing communes, like where they were growing their own vegetables and stuff, they all split down the middle because some wouldn't come unless you had your test,
Yeah.
and people lost friendships. And I love watching, because these people are still friends, and I see them talking on Facebook, and those people have gone and made businesses together. Those people have proper friendships. It's allowed people to see that there is another way. I've got an amazing friend from this Lou Kirk who had no idea about spirituality really, and just wanted to come because she knew something was wrong.
Mm.
And she loved the idea of a little party. So she came along, and she has gone on the most amazing spiritual journey. She's now a sound healer. She now works for this amazing retreat center, bringing in people. And if it wasn't for these types of events and community events that people put on, that introduce people just slowly
Yeah.
into spirituality, because the workshops that we put on weren't huge things, they were just 2-hour tasters. But
Mm.
suddenly people just see, gosh, maybe there is another way.
Yeah. Spirituality, mindfulness, they're such huge practices all over the world and all in so many different ways, but they've got a lot of research behind them as well. It's not just, we're not just making it up. Stuff actually helps people. It's not just completely off the top of our heads. I think sometimes people think it is. So what would your best tip be for people going forward? You've built this community, you have, I've honestly, your events. I've seen your events. I'm waiting to come to Wales. I'm there. What would your best tip be for these beginners who are just starting out and are feeling a bit lost in themselves?
That it's what we do is perfect for those people, because you can come and you don't have to do anything. You can just come and be part of the community. You can experience how community is, how it's not just everybody keeping to their little tent, it's everybody helping each other, it's people co-parenting. You know, if you're absolutely exhausted because you haven't had help with your children for the past 3 years, and you come to this event and you watch your kids go off and play, there's something magical about that. But then also, if you need a little bit of time to yourself and there's parents around with the same kind of age children, they will look after your children. There's something magical about that, which doesn't happen anymore. There's none of that community. But if you're thinking maybe there's something different, we have sound healing. Now, sound healing is magical because we all know, well, us two know about how well sound heals, you know, all of those different vibrations. But if you're new to this, just lying there in a gong bath or coming and listening to a crystal bowl sound bath enables you to start healing without you having to do that deep analysis. It starts things shifting. So just those simple things. So our one in at the end of September, we always have an end of summer gathering. And we've got my lovely friend Scotty coming and he's doing his gong bath. It's lovely. You know, sometimes we have children in with us. Sometimes we have dogs in with us. We've got a big 8-meter bell tent and everyone just crashes out. It's beautiful. And every single workshop is just 2 hours, maximum 2 hours. It's a lot for people to concentrate. It's a lot for people to take in when it's a new thing. So it's just an introduction. So if you think you could have an introduction to 7 different things rather than going and spending a day doing something which just isn't going to be your modality. But from having an introduction to say 7 different things, you can find out which ones actually feel right to you.
I understand that. It's taking those moments where people can just kind of try all different things. Because I know some things really don't work with me, and other things are like fire walking and stuff like that I love. But and sound baths and, you know, things like where you get such big shifts in your life, and realistically they're quite, you don't have to be all in for them, you know. They're empowering and they're healing in their own space. So you don't have to change your religion or anything else about you to enjoy those spaces, which is the questions you kind of get in places like this. It's like, oh, what if it doesn't matter. These spaces are healing spaces for everybody. And your community is, I love it because it has that community feel. And I know from personal experience of having my own community and tribe here that there's such a different way in which we treat each other and how you hold each other's space that you just don't see everywhere. And when you first start working with people like that, you kind of don't believe it. You don't believe that there can be this community that actually, you know, if I'm really tired, I can go sleep. My kids are cool. You know, I can go and do this healing and say that doesn't work for me because people want to hear my opinions. They don't want to hear what mask I'm putting on or what face I'm putting on. They want to actually hear me. And that is such a powerful place.
And that's why people love women's circles, because as soon as we've done our opening ceremony, which is nice, you know, it sounds rather grand, but it's literally to thank the land for hosting us, for allowing us to be here, for supporting us. I think it's really important to thank the land and the plants and the trees and everything that support us to heal. Now I'm sounding crazy. But then
you're not sounding crazy. You're talking to me. It's fine.
Well, do you know, I never thought about this because, like I say, it's something I fell into. And I think it was like the 3rd one that we did, I had different people come and do our opening. It wasn't a ceremony at the time, just our opening. And they said, well, shall we do an elements opening? And I'm like, yeah, you know, give me whatever you've got. I'm learning. I've been on this amazing adventure these past 3 years of meeting amazing people, finding out about all these different modalities. So yeah, gimme. And they did this beautiful ceremony where they opened up to all the elements. And I'm sitting there listening, and I felt the land I was on. I felt it relax.
Yeah.
I felt it breathe. I felt it move. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, I've never thought about this, but I've just felt this land breathe out and be so, what's the word? Not relieved, but so happy that it's noticed.
Yeah.
And I was totally the wrong words, but I was like, oh my God, we need to do this. We need to do this every single time. And now when we do it, we feel them come in. We feel the ancestors come in. We feel the spirits come in. When we're around the fire and we're drumming, they come in. It's beautiful. So after our opening ceremony, we normally have dinner, because that's a very important thing. You know, kids and adults
Obviously.
need food. But we have women's circle and we have men's circle, men's group. And we're getting more men come, which is amazing,
Which is
because
brilliant.
it's really hard to get men to these kind of things.
Mm.
But in the women's circle, just even if you don't speak, just listening to what other people are going through, knowing that it's normal how you're feeling, but having that space. And we have this rule that you don't speak when someone else is speaking. You don't go up and comfort them. You don't give them a tissue or any of that, because that stops them mid-flow and then they think, oh, maybe I need to stop. So even if they're a sniveling mess, let them be sniveling mess until they're finished, and then they can get their own tissue, because you know that they've spoken. But it's so rare in these times to be able to speak and to be able to speak your truth.
Yeah. I hear you. When I run circles here, we affectionately refer to it as feel free to snot bubble. Because people want to let these emotions out, and their spaces where you will be heard. And we just don't get that. You know, we try and hide it from our families if we're struggling. We try and hide away in our really isolated worlds. And being held to process your emotions and let it all out and actually feel those emotions is such an amazing thing. It is a beautiful way to process, and how to actually move on from those emotions and those traumas and events. And having a community to hold that is so important to everybody. I was gonna Oh, I've had a brain moment. I can't remember the next question. So you just tell me about the amazingness of your place a little bit more. Tell us how we can contact you. Tell us where we can find you, and then we're probably going to wrap up.
Well, you can I'm so blessed to have so many supporters of what we do. And one of our amazing friends, Chris Langdon, created a brilliant website for us, because until this point I would be so embarrassed about my website. I'd be like, no, just go to Facebook, go to Facebook. But now we have a beautiful, crisp, clear, very, very nice website. And it's Community Gatherings UK. The communitygatherings.uk. Really, really simple. I think even I can remember it because I've just said it nearly right. And you can find all the information on there, but only for this year, because I still haven't updated it yet for next year. In fact, I've only clarified 2 things so far, which is Inner Child Retreat, which is 16th to the 18th of May, and our next summer gathering. So everyone, after we had these gatherings, people came to me on the second one. They're like, it's not long enough. We need another one. We need one to relax. Because at that time I was having 2 workshops and a child's activity every 3 hours. So it was like bam, 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 bam. And then people were saying, oh my God, I don't know which one to go to, because this sounds good. This sounds good. But my child wants to go to this and I need to go with them, And I realized that I was creating that kind of festival vibe, which is not what I wanted to be. So took it all back, which meant, of course, I don't have as many facilitators. And we are lovely. We don't charge our facilitators to come. They come for free. Their families come for free. Children are always free. It's something that we're so it doesn't matter whatever else happens, children will always be free at our gatherings because we've got 3 children from 14 to 10. And my children aren't working from the age 12. So how I could afford to bring another 2 of them, you know. So children from 16 and under are always free at our gatherings, which means if you are a single parent, you can come to one of our weekends, find community, find support, find respite from constantly having to be there for your child, because you won't see them, especially if they're over the age of 6. You won't see them all weekend apart from for food. They'll just be off having their most amazing fun. So £120, and you can bring your kids away as long as you've got a tent.
Yeah.
We don't charge extra for camper vans because we're fortunate we've got the space. And why would we? You know, you're going to take the same space as somebody camping. What difference is it? We don't have maximum pitch sizes because, again, we're lucky we've got the space. The only thing we're limited on is parking. So we do have to limit how many can come, but we're not limited on how much space you can have. So the August gathering is 5 nights, 6 days of relaxation, community, connection. And I was there going, maybe we won't do this next year. And then I was listening in our women's circle, which is very, very powerful for me because I get to see what the women need. And then my husband runs the men's. I don't run the women's circle. Someone else runs the women's circle. Normally Jenny Unsworth, who's amazing. But my husband runs the men's group. And the women were saying it's just so nice to come to an event like this, which is nearly a week, to know that my kids can run free.
Yeah.
And I don't have to think about anything because if I want, all my meals can be provided. And I don't even need to think about what I'm doing because the program's there and I just follow it. I go to it, go and sit and have a nice chat, make some friends, you know, watch my kids playing, watch them on the trampoline, feel supported, feel loved. And I'm like, oh, okay, then. So, yeah, we'll do it for next year too, because I understand that burnout. And, you know, by the time 4 o'clock comes, I don't care what I eat. I'll eat whatever's put in front of me because I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So if I can support women to heal from that exhaustion, then and I'm in that position to do so, I'll continue to do it.
It really is a beautiful thing. If they're not lucky enough to be able to get the time or be able to road trip to come and see you, what would your one kind of podcast, resource, book, what would you suggest to someone to kind of go and look at all? I put you on the spot.
You totally put me on the spot. You see, now I am so blessed that my community. I'm a Facebook mum. My kids call me a Facebook mum, and I am so blessed that in my Facebook community, I can find everything that I need. If I didn't have that, I'd have to leave the house. And I would go and find a women's circle.
You find a women's circle would be it for you.
Yeah, because I think that there's just something so powerful. It's like my women's retreat in next weekend. There's something so powerful. And especially as a child, of not feeling like you could trust women because your first experience of women was your mother. So when you have that experience, being able to relax in the company of women is a really powerful thing. And it's something that we should have been able to do from when we were born. but it's
Yeah.
generational and ancestral and systematically being reinforced to women of every single generation that they must fight, they must backstab so they can survive. And in this time, we do not need to do that. So to know that you have a community of women, even if it's only once a week or once a month, where you are held and you are heard and you are loved, is something really powerful.
Thank you so much for coming on here today, Kathy, and taking time out. And you're such a busy person. I don't know how you do it all. But I hope that everyone else has enjoyed hearing your story as much as I have. And that if you have, then please tell us below and comment, subscribe, and all the good stuff out there. Thank you, everyone, for listening on. And I will see you next time.